Welcome to the Perspectives in STEM speaker series. I'm your host, Dr. Kimberly West, the founder and president of Teach STEM Global. This evening, I'm delighted to welcome Aaminah Hasan, the founder and director of FreeWorld Academy, located in Alpharetta, Georgia. Ms. Hasan will speak about her work at the FreeWorld Academy, as well as speak to tonight's focus, STEM-tastic Fun for kids during summer break. Tonight's program is for parents, guardians, caregivers, teachers, STEM professionals. Let's be honest, y'all. Honestly, anyone who works with children of all ages and wants to inspire the next generation of STEM leaders and educators and innovators, actually. Educators, too, right? We need some STEM educators out there, right? As well as learn how to keep children busy while they're out of school during this summer break. I hope that you are as excited as I am to hear from Ms. Hasan. So let's begin by introducing our wonderful guest speaker this evening. This evening's speaker is Ms. Aaminah Hasan. Ms. Hasan is the founder and director of FreeWorld Academy, a culturally responsive K-5 micro school and learning community that blends STEM, fine arts, and global literacy. With a commitment to joyful, I love the joyful part, purpose-driven education, she supports families through hands-on, culturally grounded learning strategies to make STEM engaging and accessible. FreeWorld Academy is currently expanding to offer both virtual and in-person programming, creating flexible options for families seeking innovative alternatives to traditional schooling. So, thank you for joining us this evening, Ms. Hasan. I'm excited to start our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. West.
All right, so my first question is, who is this fabulous founder of FreeWorld Academy, Aaminah Hasan? So tell us about who you are, your background, your education. Who are you?
Thank you so much. As stated, my name is Aaminah Hasan. I am an educator, curriculum designer, and founder and director of FreeWorld Academy. I have a background in education. I have a master's in education from Wesleyan College. Such an amazing, amazing education program there that I was blessed to be under. I also am a reading specialist. I have a background in music as well. And my own journey started with myself being homeschooled for my entire school career, K through 12. My mother homeschooled me and my siblings. And at the age of 16, she opened her home to others in the community who also wanted to homeschool. And that fully immersed me into teaching. I started to help her with her math classes. I started to tutor my own brothers and sisters and some of her other students. And from that point, I have been in the classroom. I have taught in a variety of settings. I've taught in public, private, of course, homeschool, summer camps, virtually, special education, gifted. And I am just deeply passionate about culturally responsive teaching, joyful learning, and making STEM education accessible and exciting.
Wow. So you've really seen firsthand, and you've had the chance to experience firsthand the power of homeschooling and what it can really do, and how it's an alternative to traditional K-12 public schools and even private schools and even charter schools, which are also public schools. But I think that's powerful. And what can I just ask you, what was that like going to school or being homeschooled?
I didn't know anything other than homeschooling. And so for my own personal journey, I felt it was deeply, deeply enriching because my parents put a lot of emphasis on making sure we were culturally grounded. It's not often that you can see yourself reflected in curriculum, but I felt that that was a priority in our home. And so I learned so much about myself, about my heritage, and it gave us so much flexibility to experience learning in different ways. So, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about fine arts being involved in the curriculum is because I myself was a dancer, I was a guitarist, for much of my school career, and that deeply enriched my learning experience as well. But I see that was due to the flexibility of homeschooling that gave us the opportunity to explore.
If you don't mind, I just am just interested in I know what that look is. I'm a mom. Mine's grown though, but I still know that look, right? Like you see, cut it out. No, no, I love it. I love the cultural immersion. Can you just speak a little bit about that? Like maybe one or two experiences that you remember fondly about that cultural relevancy? Because that is something that's very important, and that's something I think our society sees the need for, but doesn't necessarily make the push to incorporate it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. My mother put a huge emphasis on as let's take social studies,
Hmm.
because I feel that that is the subject where we see that the most, or miss cultural responsiveness. In social studies, if we're learning about American history, one, we're going to talk about our Black heroes, we're going to talk about our Black leaders and position those in the forefront of the experience, because those leaders and heroes often get overshadowed. But
Mm.
also knowing what our beautiful heritage was before we came over to America, and our experience in America as slaves. What was that like before?
Mm.
Could you hold on just 1 second for?
You're good. You're good. No worries. And so I appreciate Ms. Hassan sharing that background and that experience. That is so important, and it's so interesting how experiences that we have in our youth, right, can encourage us to transverse this planet, this earth, this world, and help us to figure out what it is we are to do, right? And I like that. I appreciate that, and I like that. And I like that. I appreciate that your parents did that for you because oftentimes, as a person, as a Black person who grew up here, we're often taught that our heritage begins like at slavery and not realizing that we were kings and queens and had whole entire
We were
empires in
pioneers in
Africa.
science, we were pioneers in
Yes,
technology, we were
yes.
pioneers in engineering and math. And to know that and hear that, it gives you a different perspective on learning. And you as you take that with you, one of the things I will also say that homeschooling gave me was um, recognizing myself as a lifelong learner, that learning just does not stop within a classroom, because I wasn't in a traditional classroom. I was always learning, whether that was through reading or through a formal lesson or through a field trip that we took. So that mindset of being able to look at the world as my classroom is also something that I gained from being homeschooled.
I love that because the world is a classroom. And so many times people try to keep it contained into one building when you're like, you can learn so much by observing what's in the
Yeah,
sky, to looking at plants, to looking at animals, to looking at patterns in nature. So I love that. I love that for you that you had that time, that kind of experience and educational background. That's something that is definitely something to be cherished. And I love it. And I love how you
thank,
translated it to your own work. So let me ask you about this work
thank
that you do. I'm very interested in what you do at FreeWorld Academy. And so tell us about your work at FreeWorld Academy. And I think I know this answer just having listened to you, your inspiration to start this micro school, because micro schools are something that are kind of up and coming. Some people, I
you.
think, is something that I think, and you could speak more to this, that sound like once the pandemic started, it really kind of blossomed into a thing. So just tell us about your work at FreeWorld Academy, the inspiration, and even speak a little bit about micro schools, if you will.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Free World Academy is a K through 5 micro school. And just to give some background on what a micro school is, a micro school is simply a school that has maybe 100 or fewer students. So
Hmm.
it's a school that has a very small amount of students. You have smaller class sizes. Typically, parents may look into micro schools as an option to traditional schooling methods when their student has specific needs. whether those are special needs or whether they just want their student to have a more personalized learning experience. So Free World Academy specifically blends STEM, fine arts, global literacy in a culturally grounded learning environment.
Hmm.
I did actually start in the pandemic. We launched virtually with a summer program, which was a hit. And we are still virtual at the moment, but we're hoping to expand to in-person programming so that we could better serve families who are looking for flexible learning, value-aligned learning alternatives to traditional school.
Okay. So when you started it during the pandemic, what did that look like? I'm just curious. What did it look like when you started?
So, to be honest, I had just come from teaching at a wonderful, wonderful, gifted school,
Mm.
and I was pregnant with my first child. And so I had taken off a year. But I knew that once I had my baby, I may not be quick to return to the classroom. And that really saddened me. That really hurt me. But at the same time, we were going into the pandemic of 2020. And my husband actually was the one who gave me the idea to do virtual programming. I was like, okay. I had done virtual tutoring, but I had never thought of doing any other programming virtually. So we came up with the idea for a summer camp. And that summer camp, I mean, it was just so exciting. It was mostly focused on science and science experiments. And the students, we brought so much joy to parents and families who were stuck at home with nothing to do. And from there, we continued virtual programming called Science Saturdays. And I started to get some inquiries about parents who weren't fully ready to return in person. There was still a lot of uncertainty about school in that pandemic year. And so I got some inquiries about um, could you homeschool my student virtually? And from that sparked and produced a full-time business for me of virtually homeschooling students. And so that has continued into my model today of Free World Academy.
I love it. Can you tell us where the name Free World Academy come from? What's the inspiration behind the name?
That perhaps is my favorite question. Free World comes from our thought of raising children who are going to be free thinkers,
Mm.
free creators, free people, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, socially. We don't want our children to just be consumers. We want them to be critical thinkers that contribute to the world that they live in. We want them to contribute first to their families, to their communities, and ultimately the world. And that comes with a certain mindset. And so Free World Academy, we want to be a foundation. We want to be a catalyst for which students come in and are, I would say, programmed, if that's the right word, to think for themselves, to think critically, and be problem solvers of today's issues.
And I okay, I've just two things. I'm going to ask them both before I forget, but answer one at a time. Just thinking about what you said. One, are your students, because it is virtual, are they only here in Georgia, or do you have students in other parts of the world and country?
Oh, I
Um,
have all over at least the United States. I've taught students
Amazing.
in Florida, New York, Texas. I currently have students in Arizona. Um, and so we are nationwide. We can reach students nationwide.
Okay, see,
I would
and
love to expand globally though.
yeah, no, I think no, that's why I'm just asking because you have the power of being online. right? That you
Yeah.
can do a lot of different things and meet the needs of people in a lot of different places. I was going to ask that second question, and then by the time I asked the first one, I forgot the second one, but it'll come back to me about the students. Oh, it was something you had said about being free thinkers. I think that that is so important because like you said, sometimes in this world of education, traditional education, we want students are more consumers, right? They are more they more come, sit, and get. And the challenge to get them to think critically, the challenge is to have them see the world through the lens of they are someone in this world and they can
Yeah.
do things about the world to change is very important. And I like that's what you said, and that's what your school is grounded in, that free thinking, that creativity.
Absolutely. And I think there is a need for that. They yearn for that, even if they're not able to voice that. But we, as educators, as parents,
Right.
as caregivers, it's our responsibility to create an environment to nurture that. So we have to make sure that our children see themselves being reflected in the curriculum, their creativity is being supported, and that they're actually equipped to go out into the future, to go out into the world. Not just we don't want to just equip our children to pass tests. We
Yes.
want them to actually be prepared to transform the world, because there is quite a need for some things to be transformed, and they are ultimately the next generation that will do that.
Yeah, and I can say this as an educator. One of the things I say and I'm a middle school educator. I'll tell you, I teach sixth grade, and so one of the things that I say is when students come to me with just basic things, I say problem solve. What can you do to
Yes.
fix this? And it can be something as silly as, and some educators when they hear this will be like, yes, I know that struggle. My my computer died. Okay, baby. And what would you
Right.
do if they had that phone in your hand? It's the same thing, right? So how can you problem solve that? What steps you need to take? And I think that again, that's important. We need to teach our kids to, and not necessarily teach them, but show them that not only is creativity important, but they have the capacity to be problem solvers, right? I don't think students sometimes think they have that power within them to be
Yes.
a problem solver.
Yes. Yes.
Creative too.
Absolutely.
They come up with some stuff, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay. Does it
They
work?
would
Perfect.
be shocked.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah." So I love that, and I appreciate that, and I think that's definitely something that's needed more in the world today, especially when you think about things such as the integration of AI.
Yeah.
Um, and so instead of us, and even I was thinking too, as parents, sometimes as parents, you know, we say, when our children are curious, we kind of be like, we kind of sometimes get annoyed, like to ask like one more question. I'm sure my mother would tell you if she was here, she'd be like, that was Kim, but if they ask one more question, we also need to not get so frustrated. Sometimes we're tired and all those things, but we also have a role to play too, right? And
When
encourage.
they're asking those questions, it's showing a certain interest that they have. And so my 5-year-old is at that stage where she might ask questions about the human body or different fruits and vegetables. And I can say, oh, I might have a future doctor on my hands, and I can nurture that.
Yes, and that's our role as parents to again,
Yes.
that's the thing as parents. I think we think we're supposed to have all of the answers when our children ask us these questions. We don't necessarily have to have the answers, right? But we can
Yes.
encourage them. Let's look this up online together. Let's go to
It-
the library. Let's check out a book. Let's do this, right? So as parents, I always tell, when I talk to parents, don't be intimidated and feel like, oh my God, I didn't have the answer to that. I failed my child. Absolutely not.
yes, absolutely.
So you've taught you I love what you're doing, and I love FreeWorld Academy. So talk to us about the importance of exposing students to STEM and how that the power of STEM in their lives.
Absolutely. So STEM to me is not just about science. It's not just about coding. It's about what we've been talking about, problem solving, creativity, persistence is very key, and innovation. So when our students are engaging with STEM early, we're building their confidence, we're building their curiosity, and that carries over into all areas of life. So, in exposing them to STEM so early ensures that they see themselves as builders,
Mm.
creators, leaders in a world that especially is increasingly shaped by technology and design. So, representation and early exposure are very, very key, especially for children from underrepresented communities, because STEM is everywhere. It's not just about a science lab or a tech company. It's STEM cultivates quite literally, like we said, problem solving, design thinking, curiosity, and creativity. We want our children to not just see themselves as consumers of technology, the people who buy the new video game system. If we see that our students are really interested in that, I know we often are like, they need less of the video game, they need less of the phone. But to be honest, those things aren't going away anytime soon. So how about we cultivate that and show them, well, how exactly does a video game work? How would we code one? How would we build a phone? How is an app created? That is how we create innovators. That is how we create engineers, scientists, and ultimately storytellers of the future. So that early exposure is so, so key when it comes to the STEM field specifically. They are learning how to ask questions. They're learning how to test out their ideas. And there's actually solving real problems. I've had some of our projects that we've worked on. One in particular that comes to mind is, well, two. One I've done with students is creating a water filter that cleans dirty water.
Mm.
We've also done a project where we had to clean up debris from the ocean, and those types of things cultivate just that simple project. First of all, it gets you thinking of the world at large. You're not just thinking of you and your small bubble. You're thinking of how certain problems are affecting us and others. And by coming up with solutions to those, you're really exercising those parts of the brain that require problem solving, persistence, not giving up when something doesn't work,
Mm.
your creativity, your innovation.
Yeah.
So I just really, that early exposure is so very important.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't, and they don't have to wait till they go to school either. It could be, you can do something when they're one or two, or just even, yeah. So yeah, we have to expose our kids to STEM because for all those reasons that you said, and so that leads us into the focus of tonight's program, which is STEM-tastic Fun during summer break, and so as a STEM professional, expert, innovator, educator, all those wonderful things you do as you work with your students. What are some strategies or activities parents, caregivers, etc. What can they do to encourage their child or children's interest in STEM and like keep them busy, right? Because they need they like to go to the refrigerator for snacks and then they like to come back and do something else, right? So then they like to go back to the fridge and they like to get some
Yeah.
water again. So what are some things
It's
that
on,
they do?
it's honestly so much easier than we even imagine. Most of the activities that I do with my students are with materials that they already own.
Hmm.
So, one of the things I really like to do during the summer are build challenges where they use recycled items from around the house, paper towel rolls,
Yeah.
paper plates, tape. And I'll actually show some pictures of things my students have built with recycled materials. Hold on, let's see if I can share.
You should be able to share. I hope you can.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
All right, could everybody see this?
Yes. Yay.
Okay, so this is actually from our most recent summer camp. They built together, these are twin sisters, they built a roller coaster and they took paper plates and cut them into the shape that they wanted. And you can see there's plastic cups as well, lots and lots of tape. And they have created their own roller coaster. And they had so much fun doing this. They thoroughly enjoyed this.
That I want to do that. So
This one is a bridge. So
ah,
we have, looks like toilet paper rolls. We've got popsicle sticks. Again, these are all very inexpensive materials or materials you may already have at home in your craft kit. Pipe cleaners. And she was able to make and design her own bridge. And let's make sure I want to make sure we note that in the process of them building, the first build may not have worked. So they had to go back, they had to problem solve. What did we do wrong? What can we fix? How can we make this better? This is also one of my favorite experiments to do with students. This is elephant toothpaste, and this just requires some yeast, some hydrogen peroxide, some dish soap, some food coloring. You don't even really need the food coloring, and it creates just this really, really cool science reaction. And so there's our chemistry at work there as well. And this is another one of the bridges. This is tape, popsicle sticks, and pipe cleaner. So it doesn't really take much from home
Mhm.
to foster experiments and activities to do at home. So that's one of the things or that you could do. There are also a variety of coding tools that are free. Two that I'll reference. One is Scratch Junior. That's an app that can be downloaded through Apple or Android Play Store. And Scratch Junior allows students to just be introduced to coding, or scratch.mit.edu for students who are a little bit more advanced. Codable. Those are all free programs where students can just practice their coding skills, beginner coding skills. You can take nature walks with your student. I know we have a heat wave right now, so maybe not right now, but once it cools down just a little bit, or in the evenings, you can keep a journal, and you can take your student outside, take your child outside with that journal. They can draw what they see, they can make observations, you can ask questions. If maybe you see a bird that you don't quite recognize, you take a picture, you go home. That's how you can use AI. You can upload it to AI. Hey, chat, what is this? What is this bird? Right? Um, you can keep it playful, and you can create games like with that roller coaster. You could create a design challenge for your students. Maybe you have more than one child or student who can build the tallest roller coaster. And so you don't have to have these elaborate materials. Even cooking itself is a science project. So if you, as a parent, want to look up baking a cake science lesson, you could go into the chemistry behind baking a cake and how heat changes materials, and how once you scramble eggs, you can't unscramble them. And so that's solid, liquid, gas, states of matter. There's so many activities that we can do at home that would greatly enrich our children. And of course, I offer a virtual summer camp program as well. So if I know some of us, it's just too much. I don't want to have to do all of that myself. That is perfectly fine. I have a virtual summer camp program, and there are a variety of summer camp programs where we guide students through projects like this. This week, we're on our Code and Create week. So my students have been coding, animating their name, creating virtual animated stories. It's been amazing.
Right. Okay. So I love it because I think even though you showed children that in that K-5 age group that you work with, I love that the ideas can still be scaled up for even older students. So it's
Absolutely,
not that,
absolutely.
yeah, it's not that when you just see you like, oh, these are things little kids do. Absolutely not. So
Yeah,
these are ideas that you can do that challenge, students all up into high school. Um,
exactly. Yes.
yeah.
Those design challenges are phenomenal for high school, especially when they are solving a real world problems. So like I stated earlier, the design of a water filter, that's a real problem that citizens of the earth face.
Mhm.
And that's not something that could just be limited to K through 5. That's a K through 12 experiment.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the cooking ones too. Like I
Right.
love just even boiling water, how you can show the water cycle, evaporation,
Exactly. Exactly.
condensation. Yeah, so
It's
just
just
in
as
those,
simple.
Yeah, it's just that simple. Or even like, when you teach about renewable, non-renewable resources, ooh, that blue flame, you see that's a type of natural gas, which is a fossil fuel, so just all those things
Yes,
that again, we try to make things complicated, but they really aren't.
they really aren't. They really aren't.
We want them
And
to just be fun.
there's so many resources. So we have to be curious as parents.
Mm.
We have to keep ourselves open as parents to be willing to research those things or ask questions to those who do have that knowledge.
Yeah, like even it can be something I'm just thinking even in my own son. My son is in college. So he's not little anymore. But just thinking like even if like, maybe asking your child, well, why do we have to do all these updates on our phone? Why is that? Like what's going on behind the scenes? So again, just getting them to think about those issues, why do some foods need to stay in the fridge and some can be in the pantry? So again, I just love it because it just as an educator, I always want my students thinking. I always want them asking questions. I always want them saying, how is this relevant in our world? What role does it play and what role can I play in the world in helping make it better? So that's why I love it. I love it. I love all your ideas. So
Thank you.
just a couple more questions. So what would you tell parents who want to expose their children to STEM activities and experiences and that will maybe channel them to a future STEM-based career? What would you tell them?
That's a great question. Um, Number one, start by building the habit of curiosity, as we've been speaking about so far, encouraging them to ask questions and explore how things work.
Mm.
That's one. Two, I would really suggest finding mentors or programs like Teach STEM Global, like FreeWorld Academy, where they can see diverse professionals in those fields. A lot of our students are interested in things like science, they're interested in math, but they don't actually see what careers those could lead to. So by finding mentors or programs, you can actually see the variety of options that are open to things that they're interested in. Also, try project-based learning. Have them build something over a week or a month. You could keep a STEM journal. And like we said earlier, exploring those real-world challenges, problems in the world that need to be solved. What are some solutions we could come up with? I would really encourage us to not worry about feeling like being an expert
Mm.
because your enthusiasm is the bridge. So you start by nurturing their interests, not just what we think counts as STEM, right?
Mm.
So if they love to build, I have students that they love putting things together with Legos. They make the perfect candidates for engineering design challenges. They may like to design outfits. Um, if they're playing video games, that's STEM. They like to mix slime. They're already doing STEM thinking. So you want to expose them to possibilities. Let them meet people who look like them doing things in the STEM field, watch documentaries, visit museums, read books. Can't stress that one enough.
Okay, stress
And
it.
then just give them the space to experiment, even if that experiment is a failure. So the heart of STEM is to try, tweak it, try again.
I love that, and I like that you added like it's okay if they fail because sometimes and I think unfortunately too that comes from this testing environment that we live in, right? That you always have to get it right. I don't think you can stress it enough. It is okay to fail. It's
Yes.
okay to fail, and then guess what? It's okay to fail again.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, I appreciate that you mentioned that because that is so important. And
Absolutely.
I think that builds resiliency in students too, right?
It
You
does.
have to
It
keep
absolutely
going.
does.
You got to
Yes.
keep going. Don't just give up one time. And so, what would you say to educators? I can just speak to the fact that sometimes as educators, we get in our routine, we got our pacing guide, we got our curriculum we got to teach. What can you say to educators to encourage them to further encourage their students to think outside this box, to encourage their students to explore STEM and be more creative, and maybe them too go into a STEM career?
Absolutely. First, I would say that we want to make STEM relevant? One of the biggest questions we hear, especially from middle schoolers and high schoolers, is what does this have to do with, like, am I ever going to use this in my real life? And
Hmm.
that's a legitimate question. That's a real question. And I like to tell them, especially when we're doing things like math, when you get your first contract for a job, you're going to need to be able to make sure you're being paid correctly. When the money comes out of your bank account, you need to make sure that the right amount of money is coming out of your account, right?
Hmm.
So STEM is that same way. It needs to be rooted in their real lives so we can connect science and technology to community issues, to our culture, to creativity. One of the biggest issues of our time is going to be, is AI ethical?
Mm.
Should we use AI? So there's so many lesson plans as a teacher that you could come up with around that topic alone, or even teaching our students how to use a tool like AI, not as a crutch, but as an extension of their own brain.
Mm.
So making sure that STEM is relevant and rooted in their real life, letting our students lead projects and ask the big questions. And like we said earlier, we have to introduce them to real tools and career paths, even at the elementary level. As early as kindergarten, they should understand what it means to be a scientist, what it means to be an engineer. What does that look like? Um, in the real world. And of course, I want to reiterate that representation matters. So bring in guest speakers, and tell the stories of diverse innovators, specifically those of who are Black and Brown. Our children often do not know who our scientists and engineers are in our community. They need to know that. And so again, representation matters, inquiry matters, and I feel that when students feel seen, they are more likely to succeed.
Yeah.
So my biggest advice would be to make space, make room for them.
And you said that you said something very powerful for that right there, to make space for them, because sometimes as educators we don't know how to relinquish that control, right? And sometimes it's a challenge when you have a chaotic classroom, right? And it's I think a good teacher will tell you chaotic structure, a chaotic classroom, it's not kids running around. It's not, doing, we're talking about they're thinking, they're talking, they're engaged, they're asking each other questions, they're challenging each other. So I
Yeah,
think sometimes when I say teachers need to relinquish that control or that feeling of not being in control, once we can do that, we can let them lead. We can let them be
absolutely.
free and let them move into greater thinking and greater heights because we have let go. So that's really powerful because that's really a challenge, right? Because you're like, I don't want my neighbor to tell on me. I don't want the principal to come to my room. I don't want to be in trouble,
Right,
right? Yeah.
right.
But really,
But I
yeah,
think that when you let go of that control a little bit, you ultimately gain control in the end because you gain your students' attention, you gain their engagement. And so that's really what we're going for. And so it may feel like, "Ugh, I'm letting go at first, but ultimately, once you get to that point where they're really engaged and sold and bought into um, your activities, your style of teaching, then that's all that matters right there.
yeah, that's that relationship builder right there. Well, they'll want to come to your class. They will
Yes.
want to see you in those days when you're out. They'll be like, oh, where's she at? Or where's he at?
Exactly, exactly.
So I want to open up the give those who are in attendance, our participants, an opportunity to ask a question, pose a question, make a comment. You can do that via chat, or if you want to turn on your camera and open your mic, you're more than welcome to do that. And so I just want to invite you to do that at this time, if that's something you would like to do. All right. So I hear somebody. Hold on here. If you can turn on your camera, also. Uh-oh. Let's see here. There's somebody talking. Zoom. Maybe I should change it. Let's see here. All right, so I can change it. I'll change it to show non-video participants for a moment. So Anybody who would like to open their mic, ask any questions, pose any questions, you're more than welcome to at this time. Again, you can even put it in the chat if that's helpful. If you're shy like me.
Hello, Dr. West
Yes, ma'am.
and Aaminah.
Yes,
Hi.
ma'am.
Thank you for this. How many parts are gonna be
So this is our
in this series?
so we do different perspectives and each usually each month. And so this is the one program for this one about STEM-tastic Fun in the summertime. So we'll have another theme next time.
Oh, another. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm Angela Page, and I have been doing a summer STEM camp.
Mm-hmm.
My first year was 2010,
Oh, wow.
and I officially turned it into a business 2013. And I'm currently doing um, STEM camps now. I offer 4 2-week sessions during the summer, and then I do STEM Saturdays, 2 Saturdays a month.
Oh, wow.
So I have a lot of students who started with me in second grade. They're graduating high school or in college, and they are, majoring in STEM. Um, and it's, I really enjoy doing what I do. Um, so, I'm very proud of Aaminah
Thank
and
you.
what she's doing with her program. And you all are supposed to be going to Ghana, right?
Well, we were supposed to be going to Ghana. We were going to go, but something didn't sit right in my spirit
Okay.
at the beginning of the year. And
Okay.
so we postponed the trip, or we canceled the trip this year.
Okay.
And I'm very saddened by that, but at the same time, I'm okay with that when I kind of look
Right.
at the world right now.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Understand.
so I will just say I've learned to listen. Um,
To your inner voice.
yes,
Yeah.
I've learned to listen. I feel like when the good Lord tries to tell me something, I better listen because He
You
knows.
need to listen. Yeah.
So
So I'm interested in that for the future.
okay, yay. Yeah, so that's what
Um,
we're working on. You'll be hearing about that coming up soon. Some because we're also maybe trying to go someplace else also next year. So working on that.
okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, so no, just I appreciate you being here so much. I appreciate you sharing. And I just encourage you keep doing what you're doing. You are making a difference in those
Oh
students.
yeah, I know
You're doing it.
that I am. I'm, where within the school system, because of curriculum pacing, um, you know, when the children are working with me, I let them know that you have all the time in the world to
Mhm.
figure this out,
Mm.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and the exposure, you know, um, they have met some Tuskegee Airmen. They have met um, African and American female astronauts. Um,
Wow.
Wow.
you know, and yeah, so the exposure is so important.
Yeah.
We do field trips, and then on weekends, for example, if
Mhm.
there's a STEM fair going on, I make sure that I take them there,
Mhm.
and they are definitely seeing the multicultural representation of people that are in STEM.
Yes.
And they're finding out that you don't have to be gifted in math,
Sure
you
don't.
just
No,
have to be a hard worker.
that's
That's
right.
all
That's
it is a
Yes.
hard worker,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, I love that, and I think what you said goes back to something I always say: you can't be what you don't see. So that
Right,
exposure is important. So I tell people, I don't care if you think it is so, it's nothing. It really is them seeing
right.
someone.
Mhm.
in that chair, in that position. They may not understand all the steps how to get there, but that's why we're there to help them get there.
Right.
Right. But I mean, I'm like, wow. I don't know, Mina, if you had anything to say, but I think that's amazing.
No, that's absolutely phenomenal. And Miss Page, I'd love to connect with you because I'd love
Yes.
to have more
Yes.
opportunities to expose my students to astronauts and scientists and engineers. So I would love to connect with you if we could work together in any way. I'd really love that.
Same.
Right.
Yeah, the
It's
same thing. Yeah.
we just go to the so I'm in the Maryland,
Okay.
and a lot of times there's certain programs that are sponsored
Mm,
downtown at the Aerospace Museum. So
mm,
Indeed.
they had the Tuskegee Airmen there, and
Wow.
then one of our field trips will be going to College Park. One um, of the Tuskegee Airmen's plane is parked there.
Okay.
And of
Okay.
course, they're reading about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Uh-huh.
They're reading about Betsy Coleman, So
okay. So I mean, I was just in Maryland a few weeks ago. Man, I wish we could have connected then.
yeah,
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 but no, and just like as Miss Hassan said, I would love to connect with you too. So we, definitely can try to figure out how we can work together because at
yes,
the end of the day, it is about making sure our students have the opportunities, any opportunity, all opportunities to be successful and give them every chance to be successful. That is
right,
my heart's desire is that
right.
I can play a little bitty tiny role in helping you along your path. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, so if we can definitely connect offline and everything and see how we can work together.
Okay, great. That sounds great.
Oh, and Miss Douglas, she said, I'm from Maryland. I grew up in College Park. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
all
That's
Now,
right.
interesting.
when you're saying College Park, are you saying there's a College Park in Maryland? Because
Yeah,
there's also
it's
a College Park in
in
Georgia.
Georgia. I know. I have a lot of family in Georgia,
That,
but
yeah.
Okay.
yes. There's a
That,
College
College
Park in
Park,
Maryland too.
and then the
yeah. Yes.
University
Oh,
of
okay.
Maryland, College Park,
Yes.
Okay.
University.
Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, no, that'd be great. So yeah, I'll I can put I have everybody's contact information. I can put everybody in contact with everybody for sure.
Great. Okay.
Please,
I'll set
please
it
do.
done. So yeah, so I can do that. And so, are there any more questions? Anything else? But I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you all being here. I'm going to just shift the focus back here real quick. And so, Miss Hassan, I mean, I don't know, you're just amazing. So,
Thank you so much.
first of all, thank you. And just how can participants contact you and connect with you? Whether it's email, social media, how can they connect with you?
So I'll make sure that I add in the chat. Thank you so much, Mr. Holmes. I'll make sure I add in the chat. Our website is thefreeworldacademy.com, and you can read all about our programs, see our different services, and also donate if you feel so inclined, because this work is definitely one that we need as much support as possible from our community. So our website is thefreeworldacademy.com, and my personal email is director@thefreeworldacademy.com. And so you can contact me there and I will promptly reply.
All
We
right.
can also
Could
follow up
you
on
could you
Instagram.
repeat yours?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it.
Okay. Yes, I did link, make sure I wrote it in the chat. Also, my Instagram is at Free World Academy. And when you search Free World Academy on Facebook, our page should come up as well. And note that Free World is all one word.
Okay.
Thank
So
you so much for having me, Dr. West. I'm so,
yes.
so honored to have had this opportunity.
The honor has been mine, truly. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. I hope and pray that you will join us for our next Perspectives in STEM speaker series program, which will be upcoming soon. So watch out, we'll be announcing that soon. So, and I also ask that you please be sure to follow us at Teach STEM Global on all social media to stay up to date with upcoming events and programming. Again, I thank you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your participation and your attention. And I want you to have a very wonderful evening. Thank you.